They worship a God who thinks little girls should be married to grown men. They worship a God who looks on in approval when a grown man rapes a child because he isn't married to her. They worship a God who thinks a woman should receive 80 lashes with a whip because her hair isn't completely covered. They worship a God who is pleased when 3 brothers hack their sisters to death with axes because one of them married without their father's permission. One wonders how they can stand it. One wonders how they can bear to worship and love and pray to a God of this kind. So brutal, so unjust, so petty, so stupid.
It's a battle with the demon. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Get out there on Christian Mingle, create a fake profile, and start trolling.
No, I hope nobody has your back on this one. You sick bastard. We're practically NPR.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves, your no-filter look at current news and issues facing atheists and the atheist community. I'm Jay Guerrero.
I'm Reb Spence.
I'm Christian Ferris.
And I'm Susan Turpin. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter by searching for Atheist Airwaves. We record live every Tuesday at 7:30 Central, so if you're listening via podcast, we encourage you to join us in the Ustream chat room and participate in the show.
So we've been talking about it all month, and it's finally here. Tonight we are joined by Ophelia Benson, who is not on Law & Order SVU, so please stop asking that. Ophelia is actually a columnist for Free Inquiry and The Freethinker. She blogs at Butterflies and Wheels and is the co-author of several books, including The Dictionary of Fashionable Nonsense, which I want to read next, Why Truth Matters, and the book we read this month, Does God Hate Women? Welcome to the show, Ophelia, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I have to say, I really enjoyed this book a lot, but it was really emotionally hard going in that first chapter, and someone asked me about a week after I'd already gotten it what I thought of it at that point, and I said that it was powerful and that just awful reading some of these stories. And they asked me how far I'd gotten, and I said, I'm still on the first page, actually. I had to stop. And so I was wondering, that first chapter is tough. And was it as hard to write as it was to read it?
Yeah, it was. And of course it was tough by design. You know, it seemed like a really good way to grab people, for one thing, and also just to convey the reason the subject is important and the reason people should know more about it.
Yeah, I think it definitely accomplished that. Like I said, I stalled out on the first few pages a couple of times before I just had to make myself push through, kind of the horror of it, I guess.
There were a couple
times.
times.
It's the kind of thing you often have to take a break from. I mean, I do the same kind of thing on my blog a lot, and it's the same way. I often have to just take a break and do something completely different for a while.
Yeah, it was a little different to me. I don't know, I guess maybe the format, but we talk about a lot of these things that happen, here on our show. We talk about a lot of things that are in the news, and it's a lot of this stuff. But I don't know. It just seemed to impact me more than usual.
I did deliberately choose the very worst things I could find. So, I get why they have a huge impact.
Well done. You
Go big.
Thanks.
It pretty much makes answering the question of does God hate women an easy one to answer, and we've sort of given that spoiler for the book all month as we've been announcing what we have going on. We have Ophelia Benson, author of Does God Hate Women? Spoiler alert, yes. So that's for the record, though. Snape kills Dumbledore.
Not a whole lot of suspense.
Yeah, no. But for the record, Snape killed Dumbledore. Darth Vader's Luke's father, and God hate women, correct?
Yeah.
Short
much.
answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Short and to the point. I like it.
I mean, what more can you say? But yes. So you note in the book that what makes religious law so pernicious is that it's sacred. It's above questioning. It's above logic and reason and compassion, even common sense, all of those things. But it also seems to target women almost universally for the worst of it. Do you have any idea why that might be? Why do you think that is?
Well, there are whole shelves full of books on why it is. It's a massive subject, but one reason is just that human beings are slightly sexually dimorphic. So, men tend to be a little bit bigger and stronger, and when people as a group are a little bit bigger and stronger, it's not surprising if they take a dominant role. And religion is just a very useful way to gild that particular lily, to make it look like something that was intended by a benevolent or at least powerful deity. So, it's like an excuse, an alibi, a prop, a justification, something that looks like a reason.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that really struck me was that given what we know about human gender and sexuality, it doesn't seem to fall on a binary. This is male, this is female. It seems to be very fluid or on a spectrum. And religion tends to look at it in a very binary way and not acknowledge, I guess, what we currently know about that sort of thing. And we've been talking about some comments that Cardinal Raymond Burke of the Catholic Church made recently, and he was talking about the feminization of the Catholic Church and how that's a horrible thing and what's causing all the all the decline of the church, and why boys aren't interested in being a part of the church anymore. And it seems like they're backed into a corner, but I don't know exactly what the question is here, but it strikes me that they're that defensive and still swinging.
Well, that's not exclusive to religion either. A lot of people are extremely threatened by the whole idea of non-binary sexual identity and the fluidity of the whole thing, and they're threatened by the fact that if that's true, then how do you decide who's dominant and who's subordinate? How do you make these arrangements? How do you make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to? And that's one very big reason for opposition to same-sex marriage. Is if you have same-sex marriage, then how do you have somebody who's dominant and somebody who takes orders? It's just so hard to figure out that way. So there's of course they're threatened by it, because it's basically what they do is enforce rules of that kind and enforce hierarchy.
It seems weird that people would care in general about how two people conduct themselves within their own relationship. Why, I as an individual should care if two guys, who's the dominant one or who's the submissive one in the relationship. But why is that such an issue for people, do you think?
Well, because once enough people start doing it, then it's going to creep out into the larger culture, and other people are going to look at that and say, "Oh, well, we could do that too." And that's how change happens, and people who don't want that particular kind of change to happen.
Does that in some way inhibit them from being able to enforce their own form of dominance in their own relationship?
Well, it doesn't, but it also does. It's strictly speaking and in strictly logical terms, no, of course it doesn't. The fact that the people down the street are doing some strange sexual thing that you think is icky doesn't mean you have to do it. But at the same time, everybody knows that things get transmitted across the culture and that change can happen, and that, people go to school together, they learn from each other, they say, "Oh, that's what it's like at your house?" And change can happen. So, in one sense, they're totally wrong to be threatened by it, but in another sense, they're not totally wrong to be threatened by it. But they are wrong to be threatened by it in a moral sense.
And we were talking last week. Excuse me. We were talking last week about shame, especially sexual shame, and how there almost seems to be a human response as if it were a disease. You talk about honor killings in this book a lot, and those kinds of things where it almost seems like killing your daughter is like excising cancer to cure yourself of some contagion. Does that analogy make sense to you?
Oh yeah, it makes a huge amount of sense. It makes a huge amount of sense, but at the same time, I never really can understand how that works out in practice. I can understand how shame works and how honor works and how hugely powerful it is, but when it comes right down to it, and you're talking about an actual parent murdering an actual child, I always have a really hard time getting that.
There's, excuse me, there's so many of these disturbing stories in this book about, fathers killing daughters, groups of men killing, teenage girls, coupled with mothers who can't believe that a father could do that to his own child, and parents who can't eat because of what their communities have done to their loved ones. And how is all of this perpetuated when ostensibly these victims are also loved ones?
Well, that's just it. That's the part that I find so extremely hard to understand. And, so do the loved ones in question, and so do a great many women. I mean, fortunately, this is starting to get more discussed and more out there and more in the media and so on. But how it actually works on an emotional level, I don't think I'll ever actually understand.
Mm-hmm. And I, as a father, that's, I think, the thing that I could not wrap my head around reading, especially stories about fathers and brothers killing their daughters, and, not just killing them and take them out behind the barn and tell them about how you're going to have rabbits and how it's going to be. And, but I mean, hacking them to death in the most brutal ways. I can't publicly. Yeah. And unashamedly. I can't grasp that, but then I was also comparing that to maybe some misogyny, especially in the atheist community, that I think we do have a misogynist wing of the atheist party. I don't know if it's party, but community.
It's always a party with an atheist.
Oh, dear.
And I just wonder if religion is really the difference. That there are assholes all over the planet, in every culture, in every denomination. Jay here, for example. and religion is what the difference between just being a dick and being able to stomach hacking your daughter to death.
Yeah, I think that has to be part of it, because obviously, all religious people don't hack their daughters to death. There's way too much of that kind of thing, but it's not it's not universal. So I think some of the explanation for how people manage it is that that's the kind of people they are.
Yeah. Do you think it's specific to one version of dogma or another, or do you think that it just takes a certain kind of person with a certain, I guess, mental illness to hear the right or the wrong thing from the right or the wrong person?
Well, it's certainly connected to certain kinds of religious orthodoxy. But I think it probably also takes a certain kind of personality, or something that has warped the personality to make it emotionally doable.
I guess that's somewhat comforting in some sense, that that religion can't just turn anyone into a daughter-killing heathen.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Do you think, given enough time, and assuming the atheist community became the majority community of the world, do you think those same ideologies would continue to exist, where you have these women being put in these awful situations?
No, I think it's perfectly possible that will fade out if global warming gives us enough time.
It's funny, but not funny.
Yeah. No, I think it's perfectly possible. I mean, that changed here and in Europe and Scandinavia and the rest of the Anglophone world and Japan and all kinds of places really quickly.
What do you think is the difference? Because, and I think you acknowledge this in the book, that Islam is a much more violent religion than many of the others, and guilty of a lot more of this stuff. What is the difference? I mean, between Christianity, for example, which I don't want to let them off the hook in it by any means, but certainly they have their history of doing some of the same things, and they don't seem to do it at the same. Do you have an idea or even a thought about what the difference is?
I think it's basically historical reasons. Contingent reasons that don't have to be what they are. That would be different if historical conditions were different. I don't think it has to be inherent in Islam that it's like that. And I know an awful lot of wonderful liberal, reformist, feminist Muslims who say that it doesn't, and who are doing their level best to persuade their co-religionists that it doesn't. But I think, the way the world has fallen out over history, Christianity has been dominant in countries that have developed in certain ways, and Islam is in countries that have had a colonialist past over the last couple of centuries, and that causes things to fall out differently in the respective areas. So I don't think it has to be automatic that Islam is more brutal to women than Christianity. It's just that that's how history has played out.
Does it seem to you that it's, let me say that this way. It seems to me that religion, whether we're talking about Christianity or Islam, is a bad idea, whether you have liberals who have said, oh, poo-poo, that whole stone your kids for being mouthy, that thing, that's not what we're about. Isn't it still a bad idea to raise a text that as sacred that says those things, even if you're poo-pooing them somehow?
Yes, I do actually. I do think that. I think holy books are possibly the worst idea humans ever came up with. For that reason, because it's in the book, and so there's always going to be somebody who says, well, look, it's in the book, and we have to obey what's in the book. So as long as they can find something in the book that says that, there's not really anything you can say. You can't say, well, no, the book doesn't say that, because the book does say that. So my response is always, never mind what the book says. Do what's right, and just never mind what the book says. But that's the nature of holy books, is that I can say that all I want to, but they're not going to agree with it. It's that situation in Huck Finn, where Huck is in a position where he's going to turn Jim in, so that he'll have to go back into slavery, and he's fully convinced that that's the right thing to do, and he has this awful struggle with his conscience that the right thing to do is to turn Jim in, but he really, really doesn't want to, but it makes him feel hugely guilty, and then he thinks about what a good person Jim is, and he finally just goes, all right then, I'm going to hell. And that's the only way you can defeat the holy books, is just to say, well, the hell with the holy books then. But it's hard for most people to do that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing that, though. To hell with the holy books. I like that idea. I really do.
That's a good hashtag. We should.
Yes. Let's see if we can get it trending. So you have an entire chapter that is devoted to Islamophobia and sort of what is and isn't, what does and doesn't constitute Islamophobia, which I did notice you very, very bravely tucked away in the back.
It seems like some people are probably already screaming Islamophobia by that point in the book.
Yeah. And I know you've had disagreements, let's say, with Sam Harris, but in sort of the recent kerfuffle between Sam Harris and Ben Affleck on Bill Maher, were you team Sam Harris or were you team Ben Affleck?
Neither.
Interesting.
I'm not crazy about either one of them, so I basically.
Well, who can be crazy about Affleck?
Well,
He is
no, I don't know.
Batman.
They have.
He was the bomb
Sorry.
in Phantoms, yo.
Anyway, sorry.
Oh, dear.
Jay digresses. So you're on Team Benson. What does Team Benson say?
Yeah, I basically stayed out of that one. I think it's worth trying not to give ammunition to people who think criticism of Islam is Islamophobia, but at the same time, I certainly think it has to be wide open to criticism.
Yeah. But I think it's almost unavoidable, at least so we have a humanist group locally, and I can be as careful as possible to deliver the same kind of, we're not talking about Muslims. There are plenty of good Muslims. We're talking about Islam as an idea. And it doesn't matter that I say it up front. It doesn't matter if I
repeat it multiple times.
Right. You can repeat it all you want. It doesn't matter. They won't hear that. What they'll hear is you hate these people. And I feel like for me, that's not true. And I think reading your book, while you criticize Islam very harshly and with good reason, read the first, if you read no other chapter in this book, read the first chapter of the book. If you can come away from that and thinking Islam is great, I want to talk to you. You can call into the show. But I mean, I just feel like that's something that's unavoidable, almost.
You know what helps is making some friends with liberal Muslims.
Okay, I don't think I
find some groups or something. There's a Facebook group, British Muslims for Secular Democracy.
Okay.
Wait, what?
British Muslims for Secular Democracy?
Muslims for secular democracy?
Yes, British Muslims.
Oh, there's Christians that stump for secular government and everything as well.
I was not aware of that. Okay.
In fact, in the convention we're going to, next month? I mean, there's going to be a preacher there that's talking about secularism in government.
Sure. Sorry.
Well, Americans United for Separation of Church and State is run by a pastor.
Yeah,
Barry Lynn.
Yeah, he's the one.
Barry Lynn.
Yeah.
He's the one we're going to go talk to next month.
So it's perfectly possible. Secularism is compatible with religion.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it
if you
can
want,
be, absolutely. Yeah,
if you want your religion protected, you should totally be all for a secular government.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's lost in a lot of things. And I don't think it should be surprising to anyone that there are religionists of any stripe that are reasonable and good people. But I think that that is, and I think that's a symptom of what I'm talking about, which is that when you say something about Islam, people tend to paint this broad picture and stereotype and assume that you were talking about all Muslims are like this, when it's really you're talking about Islam. And Islam, like you were just saying, it's a bad idea even if it's practiced by liberal Muslims. Am I out of line in saying that?
That's sort of that's the way I see it. But on the other hand, I've kind of modified my position a little bit because of making some friends who are Muslims, and I've sort of had to accept the idea that some people, a lot of people are going to remain religious, at least for a long time. So you sort of have to accept the idea that decent people can make of their religion the kind of religion that decent people have.
Well, I mean, but even decent people can have bad ideas. I mean, most of the people hang out with are good people, but they also drink alcohol, which is bad for you, and it's a bad idea to drink. But I think it's important to be able to criticize that idea the person has, because I mean, if not, I mean, it's well, everyone decided to open their beers right now.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I think that, you know, what I would say, and let's not pick on Islam. Let's talk about Christianity, because, and I firmly believe that religion is a bad idea, regardless. Even if you take out honor killings and all of that, you know, and putting women in burqas and not allowing them to drive or leave the house, if you take all of that out, you're still left with, you know, sexual dysfunction, bad ideas out that are unchallengeable, even if they are
knowledge statements about the universe that are patently wrong and incorrect.
The part about unchallengeable, I think, is the real key. The real reason religion is a terrible idea is that it projects this person who gives you binding laws, but gives you no way to negotiate about them or discuss them or reject them, reform them, have new ones. There's no complaint bureau. There's no mailbox. There's no nothing. You can't change the holy books. You can't ask God why this is a rule. You can't do anything. It's just given, and God is off somewhere where you can't get at it. And that's just a terrible way to make laws that are binding on humans.
And just to beat up on Catholics some more, I mean...
Oh, yes, let's do that.
Let's do that. I mean...
Okay, you just won me. I like you.
Should it really be a surprise to anyone that an organization that is made up solely of celibate men in leadership roles would find women weird or the source of all problems, while men are just the normal and the cool and we're all okay. I mean, should that surprise anyone that God is what a group of celibate men think?
Well, and then relevant to that is the fact that child rape is not an excommunicatable offense, but ordaining women is.
Right.
That's a good point. I was going to say it a little differently, but that's a good point.
Thank you for saying it before Jay could.
Yes.
That's all I want to say about that. But I mean, it's not really surprising to me that while the Catholic Church will accept evolution, sort of, they won't accept what science knows about gender. And that, a neuroscientist can look at the brain scan of a man and a woman and have a hard time telling the difference. So,
well, I thought a lot of that gender stuff is like, because Jesus only chose men for his disciples, so thus only men should be in the church or something.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that struck me in your book, because I'm going to forget what it was, but you mentioned that you contrast that with Hippocrates and someone else being the first doctors, and we would never say, okay, only men can be doctors because the first ones were men. I can't even, I mean, I accept that it's, sexual dimorphism and might makes right, but it seems like we live in a world that is a little less like that, especially if you talk about the West, where this still happens, and I can't wrap my mind around it. Maybe that's just something that we can't.
Well, some of it is just sex,
Well, I mean, it seems like, especially in this world, I mean, we have the technology, which is, the great equalizer, so...
we have inflatable dolls.
Yes, we do.
And soon sex robots.
And lab-grown vaginas.
I was thinking like weaponry and cell phones and computers, but hey, sex dolls too.
That's weaponry. On the same note, I mean, given what we know about gender and what male and female is in the gray area there in our society and in humans in general, the church eventually embraced the science of evolution. Do you think they'll ever come around? Do you think they'll ever accept what we know scientifically? The gray areas of gender.
Not the church we have now. I
Yeah.
mean, the Catholic Church is wedded to not changing. That's basically all they have.
Pretty much, yeah.
I gotta say because I have you let me try that again. You reprint a lot of things that have come out of the Vatican about male and female roles, and I have not heard half of those things. That was so demoralizing to hear what they're saying, even today. And I mean, people like to give this Pope a lot of credit for being different. I don't personally do that, but they're not that different at all.
No, they're not. Yeah, writing that part was fun. I enjoyed that, looking up all that Vatican stuff.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people, that doesn't seem to get a lot of press. And that's...
What were some of those comments?
Well, I've got some of them here, but I don't know that it's, we want to really, I'll read one of them in a second. But the thing that just struck me that I think is important is I think a lot of what this Pope gets away with is exactly this, because he will come in and he'll say something that sounds amazing and progressive and left-wing, and he'll leave the room and all the reporters will go to write their stories, and then the spokesman comes in after him after everyone's left and wrote their wonderful stories and clarifies the remarks and says, oh, he didn't really mean that. What he meant was this.
Exactly. They're doing the political game. They're doing what politicians are good at, the smoke and mirrors. One person says one thing, exactly like you said, they leave the room, and somebody else says, well, what he meant to say was.
Right.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, he kind of dropped the mask. After the Charlie Hebdo massacre, remember when he was on the plane to the Philippines, he said, well, if somebody says something mean about your mother, you punch them.
I saw that.
You should expect to be punched. The Pope said this, which to me was, I was blown away that this Pope said that, especially given what Jesus said about turning the other cheek and all that stuff.
I don't know. I'm down to watch like a Pope death match.
A Pope cage match.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Pope-a-palooza.
So maybe this is a good time to maybe talk about Rafe Badawi a little bit, because God doesn't just hurt women. He hurts everybody that's in his way. What are your thoughts about him right now?
Well, my main thought about him is just desperately hoping, one, that they will completely suspend the lashes. Two, that they will not lash him on Friday. But three, that they just let him out of jail and let him leave the country and join his wife and children in Quebec.
Yeah, maybe this is. Let me insert this a little. This is a thing because I was really taken aback by some of the academics who have stepped forward. I think it's mostly academics who have said, "I will take the lashes for Rafe," and that is, and given what we know about what this did to that man, that's a serious thing to offer.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not suggesting that all of us should go out and be caned right now, but are there little ways that you think that people like us living in South Texas or our listeners living all over the world could do to push back against these kinds of abuses, whether it's against women, men, or just humanity in general?
What you're doing, basically, getting the word out.
Well, hold on. If everyone starts a podcast, then we're going to have to split our listeners up. I don't think I like this idea.
We're going to get lost in there.
Can we just punch the Pope instead?
Okay, fine, then just tweet.
I got that one.
But you're leaving, so what?
I will still tweet.
All right, you can be our
The Terps will never stop tweeting.
Exactly.
Be the tweeter laureate.
Yes.
You have a title now. Are you excited?
I like it. I am excited.
I do have a question about one of the stories you tell in your book about Carmen bin Laden. And that was really interesting to me. But let me first ask, do you know, did she ever leave or is she still a part of that family?
No, she left.
Okay.
I think she's living in Switzerland again.
Okay, good. Because I was confused in the book. I was like, how is she saying these things?
Yeah, she got out.
Okay, great. The thing
and her daughters got out.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me about her story, though, was something that had never occurred to me before. And this occurred to me just by way of, praising your book again. So many times there were thoughts that had never really occurred to me before that I picked up from this. And this is one of them, which is that these patriarchal religions not only give men all of the power and dominance in the outside world, and then they relegate the women to being in charge of the household. But they're not even really in charge of the household. The men are in charge of the household too. I mean, it's actual slavery, right?
What Carmen bin Laden describes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the Carmen Bill? I didn't even know who
I don't
that
know
was.
Carmen. Is that like Carmen Sandiego?
No. I assume it's
I'm sorry.
Osama bin Laden's daughter.
Thank you for interjecting and making sense, because if you haven't read the book, this won't make any sense to you at all. So Carmen bin Laden, who is married into Osama bin Laden's family, was taken to Saudi Arabia, where she's put in the house. She can't leave. The women there are only they're only reading the Quran. They're only concerned with what goes on in the house. She was not allowed to leave. When she did leave and she wanted to go to the grocery store for herself, they made sure everyone left the grocery store so she could go in. And I'm not exactly sure whether they were protecting the people in the store or they were protecting her. I'm not really clear on what that was.
I was just making sure some hussy didn't mingle with normal human beings.
Right.
Men.
Yeah, I almost hesitate to say this, but what kept going through my mind while I was reading that was, what we need is like a free-range women program for these people. It's like cage-free.
Oh my God.
I know, it's awful, but I mean, that's what kept going through my head is like,
Force-fed, no antibiotics.
You think I say bad things?
I'm just saying, like, it sounded
Locally grown.
Exactly. I mean, it was freaking me out because I started thinking of it. I mean, the first thing that popped in my head was, veal. This is what we do to make veal, and we're doing this to human women, and it's horrible.
Yeah, it's a very creepy book.
Yeah.
And let me say, such an unfortunate name. The only way it could be worse if it was like Carmen von Hitler or something.
Carmen von Hitler.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Let me turn to the atheist community and away from the book for just a moment, because we've asked some of the guests we've had on our program about the atheist community in general and how it seems to be far more polarized and completely out of control than I think I can ever remember it ever being before. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, so I was YouTubing your name just before we had you on, just so that I could do it, and there were more people saying Ophelia Benson said something I don't agree with, and there were a lot of angry people. And I tried to listen to some of them, but most of them
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Yeah, it was. I don't recommend it. So let me say that. Most of them I couldn't figure out what the hell their problem was, and the people who I could understand, I was like, "This is what you're, this is what you're upset about." What do you think is causing this shift in the atheist community to being something so volatile, really?
Well, it started with the whole Dear Muslima thing.
Mm.
You know about that, right?
Yeah, we've talked about that on the show. Okay, Jay is pretending like he doesn't know what we're talking about. That is Richard Dawkins' letter to Rebecca Watson.
Oh, that thing. Okay.
Right, yeah.
I didn't know that had a name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does. So, and he basically told her that she should shut up because they're not treating her like veal, basically. So you trace it back to Richard Dawkins.
Well, I trace it back to that comment. I mean, I don't exactly trace it back to him because he, of course, did not deliberately set out
Sure.
to do what resulted from that comment. But that comment, and then everything that flowed from it, is where all this started. It wasn't like this before that happened.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so glad you said that because I hadn't thought of that before. But that's really scouring my mind. That's the first time that I think I really noticed this kind of schism. Yeah.
Yeah. I was I was there for the whole thing by just an accident of the fact that P.Z. Myers quoted a blog of mine on Feringula at the same time that he quoted the one of Rebecca's that attracted that comment by Richard.
I would think that those opinions probably already existed. It just gave them a prominent person to gather around.
I'm sure they already existed, but I think what happened is that seeing Richard saying it gave an awful lot of people to think, oh, this gives me the permission to just belch all this stuff out there. And they've been doing that ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, so we've talked about how God hates women, but there is this MRA misogynist wing of the atheist community. Where does that come from? Why? It makes no sense to me.
I don't know. I've been a feminist for decades, and it still just boggles my mind that we're having this, what looks to me like a huge resurgence of open, unembarrassed misogyny.
Yeah.
I would have, 30 years ago, I would have thought that was out of the question. We'd gone past that, and there was a ratchet in place, and we weren't going to go back to that kind of crap. But boy, was I wrong.
Well, that's what I was kind of talking about earlier, is how right now people use religion as their crutch for violence against women, but now that there's a larger portion of people that are atheists, because there's that larger population, there's now more and varied opinions of people out there, and one would assume that eventually something like the MRA groups could metastasize into some sort of violence violence against women and actually perpetrate that for their own, dumb reasons.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Let me say that I think that there's something larger at at work here, because the other thing that I want to couple this with, and I know the religious right is about as far from the atheist community as you can get, but if you had told me even 10 years ago that we would be fighting about birth control in this country, I would have told you you're out of your mind. And I think we're right back at that. So I feel like there is some sort of backlash happening beyond just that. Does that make any sense to anybody?
It makes sense, but I think it might be two different backlashes that have stuff in common, but that aren't necessarily the same backlash. I mean, the birth control stuff.
That's probably more political than anything.
Well, but also it's related to the whole quiverful thing, which is related to homeschooling.
Quiverful is like the Duggar family.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
Quiverful.
Quiverful, you're supposed to have a quiver full of children.
The religious movement where they don't believe in any sort of birth control. They do their natural family planning where they
Life is
believe
about
in
crotch trophies.
God.
Got it.
And they also homeschool, and they're very, 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 very fundamentalist.
Yes.
And they're anti-feminist, and women should be sweet, and they should always wear dresses, and they should marry at 18, and they should have as many children as they possibly can before it kills them.
I feel like I'm butting my head up against this wall again, and I'm just going to say it one more time, and then I'm just going to be done with it, because and it's really born out of a frustration that I just feel like so many of the issues you're talking about in this book are just so freaking obvious to me, and I feel like they should be freaking obvious to everyone else. But I look at the way women are treated. I mean, we talked about Rebecca Watson, yourself. I've seen this around you, and I cannot figure out for the life of me what the secular reason for death threats and rape threats and the most vile, putrid stuff that to be honest with you, I have a lot of respect for all of those women, because I'm not sure I could handle it.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah. I cannot figure out for the life of me, is it what we talked about at the beginning of the interview, this sexual dimorphism, this might makes right kind of thing, or does... I
don't think I would say there's a secular reason for it, but I think it's a secular phenomenon, which is just, it's fun for them, and being angry and hateful and teasing and mocking and sneering and jeering and raging, all of those are fun for a lot of people. It's just something you do for fun. Bullying is a form of recreation. So in a way, I don't think it gets you anywhere to look for a rational reason for it. It's just something they enjoy doing, and because it's so easy to do it anonymously.
Yeah.
That makes it possible for an awful lot of people who probably wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Yeah, and it's scary, speaking of anonymously, the doxing that's gone on and people who've had to leave their homes as a result of this stuff. I mean, that's
absolutely,
that's a hell of a way to get your entertainment. I guess it's probably a mistake by me to even try and make some sort of sense of it. So, is there anything you're currently working on that we can look forward to?
Just more blog posts. Same old.
And can they get to that still at butterfliesandwheels.org?
Yes.
Okay. So that is the place where you can get all of Ophelia Benson's wonderful
musings,
writings. And thank you so much for being on. Like I said, I really truly enjoyed your book, and I was talking to Susan when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today, and we had a hard time because it's really one of those things that just baffles me, and I don't know why this isn't just more obvious to almost everybody. But thank you for writing that book. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
We will have you on some other time, I hope.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have fun. Don't die.
Take care. Want to break? You want to say a thing, Jay?
Sure. Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. This weekend, we're going to be at our new location, Taqueria Francisco, at the corner of Staples and Saratoga. If you don't know where that is, visit ccatheist.com for a list of our public events, although that's pretty...
I was wondering if you were just going to go with that. If like you would read whatever I put there.
I would, yeah.
And apparently you will. And you did a great job. I mean,
You spring some shit on me, I'm going to go with it, dude.
I should have gone harder at it. I really
You
should
should
have.
That's
totally
what-
ludicrous.
So where the fuck are we meeting?
It's an executive surf club meeting.
Oh, we're going to Executive Surf Club.
Yeah.
Thanks for the troll, fucker.
I don't know what Taqueria Francisco
I've never
is.
heard of Taqueria Francisco, but it sounds like it might be tasty. Anyway, we're going to be at Executive Surf Club, and you can beat the shit out of Christian if you'd like.
Many people want to.
Some people do. Some people can't handle it. Anyway, come visit us, ccatheist.com for a list of our public events. And if you want to connect with our affiliates, southtexascor.com.
Do you want to talk about all the events we don't have coming up, Susan?
The only one we really have is my personal little plug. February 11th, 12th, and 13th, Vagina Monologues is going to be showing at the Aurora Arts Theater here in Corpus Christi. The tickets are going to be benefiting the Women's Shelter of South Texas. The tickets are $40. Unless you have a valid student ID, then they are $25. If you want the student ID price, you do actually have to go down to Aurora and buy the tickets. You have to have
I have to go down?
the ID. Yes.
What if I have an invalid student ID? How
Then
much is it
you
then?
are SOL and it's $40.
$40.
But remember, it is for a very, very good cause. All of the proceeds this year are benefiting the women's shelter, and you get to hear me talk about vaginas.
The Terps talking about vaginas. This sounds entertaining, actually.
It will be entertaining. It's
How come when we ask about vaginas on the show, you're
It's
always
like,
very cagey
I'm
about
out.
opt out.
Not it.
Not it.
I'm going to plug my own. February 7th, Burners Without Borders is going to be working with the Adopt a Beach program. We will be at south of Bob Hall, about 3 miles. We're going to have a big cleanup down there. We're going to.
Is that in Oasis County or is that Pins?
It is not Pins. We have approached Pins, and Pins basically gave us the finger because they don't like that we're claiming our own spot, but we have claimed our own spot for over a year now. We're going to be cleaning that up. We're actually going to be pulling out the dead vehicles that are back in the dunes.
I thought you never pulled out, Jay. Really? That's what stopped you dead in your tracks. That's what killed Jay.
He doesn't have
Okay.
any crotch trophies that we know about.
So we're gonna be.
I'm infertile.
Okay, great.
Maybe.
Amanda saw to that at our anniversary show. But patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves if you would like to hear Susan make Japanese sex sounds after the show.
Did you just cut off my plug?
You were just babbling, so I just thought I would just cut you off. Yes.
Fuck.
Oh, yeah, you were going on about babies.
Never
and stuff.
mind.
Yeah.
You guys do your thing. You can go get fucked.
If you gave all the details, is there anything? Go ahead.
What
Go
else
ahead.
is it?
Let's go. Let's
no.
move on.
No, I'm interested. I want to know.
Tell
what's
us the
No,
interesting
you
thing.
can both go get fucked and move on.
Tell
You,
us
you never come out anyway, so eat a dick.
Shh. Okay, everyone. Jay's gonna have something really interesting to say. Go ahead.
Wait, when? Honestly, when is it?
February 7th.
February 7th.
I
I
will
will
co- I
actually
will
be
come
in
to this.
town.
Yeah, you're right.
I will come to this.
February.
I give you my Ferris.
You're not going to break a
Promise.
foot?
I might break a foot. Okay, to hell with this. Let's move on to some news. Atheist Mitch Colley is a First Amendment frickin' machine. Yeah. He moved to West Michigan last year and has already racked up a nice list of victories against local governments all over the place. This guy never quits. He made Ottawa County remove a religious sign from a public park. He got 2 school districts to stop a minister from holding lunchtime programs at schools. And my personal favorite, he persuaded the town of Grand Haven, Michigan, to turn a 48-foot cross they had on public land into an anchor. Oh,
Nice.
yes.
That's badass.
Whenever you can get theists to defile their own religious icons, that's a freaking win.
Beautiful.
It's like an atheist ranger.
Mitch Colley is Special Forces, Atheist Special Forces. It reminded me of what underpass did we do that city?
Agnes and Laredo.
Agnes and Laredo underpass, and Corpus Christi Atheists was there. We were helping out. We were painting highway columns and stuff, and the church group started painting crosses on everything and Jesus fish. And we said, hey, what about these motherfuckers? And they made him paint over all of them. I took pictures. I was like, they're painting over Jesus. It was so yummy. It's like you're breaking the law and now you have to defile the cross. Is that wrong of me to really?
No, that's awesome. That's
File
rad.
the cross every chance I get. You got to make them do it. What's wrong with that?
Ah, Jesus.
To legally compel them to defile their religion.
Right?
Feels good.
It's really great because I would have gladly done it, but they made them do it, and I was just like, I'm just taking pictures. Maybe I'll put a picture in the Atheist Airwaves Facebook page because it's awesome. So anyway,
Does it make you like a defiler voyeur?
Yes. Yes.
It's his fetish.
Yeah.
That and penguins.
Christ defiling voyeur. That's me. I'm all about it.
So it's not like getting somebody like with like a cross dildo and watching them.
Okay, you've taken it too far. sir.
This is not The Exorcist.
That's not too far. That's not far enough. Let's keep going. Deeper.
So needless to say, residents in West Michigan are pissed. Local media reports that city council meetings are overflowing with pissed off Christians. Forums are packed to capacity, and the good Michigan Christians have been sending Kali hate mail and death threats. He's also been compared to a long list of really cool stuff, including a terrorist, Hitler, a vampire, a demon, and Satan.
I love how Hitler makes the list of really cool stuff.
Well, if you're going to piss people off, at least make them go full Godwin, right?
Pretty much.
True. Because he did nothing wrong.
I know you guys love that. I don't understand.
I don't. Disclaimer: I don't honestly believe that.
It's the best thing to ever come out of 4chan.
The Holocaust never happened. And silence.
You killed it. You killed it.
Atheist Airwaves is experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. I'll get the girl from Ipanema to play over that. I'll just... Atheist Airwaves is still experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I can't.
She can't even. So members of the town also say that this Kali guy has also contributed to the incendiary environment by comparing religion to astrology, palm reading, and alien abductions. They say they're most pissed off because they weren't favorable comparisons. Wow.
Wow.
We're okay with being compared to those things, but it better be in the good way.
How would you be favorably compared to like alien abduction conspiracy theories? I can't even think of a way that would be possible.
Or astrology, for that matter.
Well, I mean, astrology is kind of the same thing. It's a faith-based position that helps you explain the reality.
I guess that's
by making
positive.
very, very vague statements about
It's like fortune
people.
cookies,
It's-
basically.
Which is better than like Christianity and Islam, which just makes up stupid crap. I mean,
I guess the alien abduction thing is kind of believable.
so let me give a favorable comparison between astrology and Christianity. Christianity is no more fucked up than astrology.
I like how that's your favorable
That's the
comparison.
favorable comparison. They would have been much less pissed off about that comparison, I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay,
If
so-
you have any concerns with this, please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com.
So I was having a discussion with a roommate the other day as we were driving down the road, and he made a very astute observation that all of the tarot and palm readers and all those folks that are somehow still in business at like standalone locations, they're always grouped together. Is that like a zoning thing?
This is the palm reader.
I mean,
Your bullshit can only live here.
well, if you think about it, though, people tend to segregate. I mean,
No.
like in St. Louis, you have, a black neighborhood, a white neighborhood. The Bosnians live over here. The Serbians live over there, whatever. So it only makes sense that the really credulous people all live together and all of the palm readers go and set up shop right in that neighborhood.
Next to the cockfighting ring?
I don't think those two things are the same, no.
Well, I think
There's
you
no
can draw a
favorable
connection.
comparison.
think you can draw a connection between the people that visit both.
I don't think you can, Jay.
Oh, I bet you could.
No, maybe not the cockfighting, but the people who like slit the
Santeria type
chickens.
shit?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I guess
that
you
would
can.
be. That would probably be
Maybe
the closest.
it's
They'll
thing,
all
yeah.
exist in the same microcosm as far as I'm concerned.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say it, but I won't. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because otherwise I have to do the Atheist Airwaves is experiencing technical difficulties thing again.
We've heard that enough.
Yeah. So the Ottawa County Board is now talking about putting the religious sign back in the county park after residents said, get this crap. They said that its removal was a sign of the apocalypse. And I mean, literally, they think it's a sign of the end times. It's like, river of blood and then plagues and then sign coming out of the park.
Well, this is why they moved the end of times clock 2 minutes forward. It was this. That was
It was the sign?
It was
I
it.
knew it.
Oh, this is literally the sign of the end times. Love me. Love me.
I hate you right now. If I had eggs, I would
No,
throw them
that
on
was
you and then read your fortune.
wonderful. That was wonderful.
There's your clue. Susan thinks it's wonderful. You should reevaluate.
Everything about your life.
All I'm saying is this is Susan's last show, and I'm moving in. This is
Wait, to Rev's house?
someone.
No,
Someone-
she
No, to
moves
the
into her
bad
bedroom.
joke.
Yeah.
Someone has to take over the Terps, and that someone is going to be me.
Wait, there's like, I'm confused.
Christian
You're
the
taking
Turps
over
Ferris.
I'm owning that. So
You guys just want me to shut up right now. and I'm
Others-
going to.
others said that removing the sign was just like the Holocaust. Just like the Holocaust. Just like millions of Jews being slaughtered.
It never happened? Is that what you're saying?
And they didn't. And Kali did nothing wrong. That's no. They
That's fucked up, though. They said it's like the
Yes.
Holocaust.
Yeah.
You removed a piece of wood with words on it. You didn't enslave, burn, bake, slaughter, and what?
what? But you're not listening to what the actual words were. It was probably from the Bible, and
Probably.
You guys, come on.
I don't freaking know.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing was that someone else said that if the sign wasn't put back, that the next step was going to be gay marriage.
Oh my God.
They just hit the
If only it was
jackpot of
that easy.
So that's what we have to do to get it passed here in Texas. We just have to remove all of the
Remove all the
religious signs.
yeah. And then
I'm down.
I'm good with this. Let's do it. Is that like cutting
Actually, no,
off an
it won't.
Indian's hair? It like removes all their power? Or Samson's hair? Or whatever the hell it is?
Or is it like never mind.
Oh, no, go
So it's
for
like
it.
a, it's
Go
like
for
a
I was going to make a Game of
force-
Thrones reference.
it. I'm glad you didn't.
the Detroit News. So this guy has like the best title ever. I wish I had known that this was a thing because then I would have claimed it for myself. But the Detroit News calls him the scourge of nativity scenes. It's just amazing.
Christian, the scourge of nativity scenes, Ferris.
Yes, if it's too late now, but if I had thought of it,
Yeah, it's already been claimed.
yeah.
The bringer of the apocalypse, the perpetrator of the Holocaust, and now this.
That's what I'm. Yes. Is that all right?
Those are some cool titles to have, though. Like if you're gonna have like titles about being a horrible person, those are good ones.
I kind of want to call this guy and see if he'll come on the show because I'm of two minds. Like one is this guy is just the coolest guy ever, and the other one is he's just gonna. He couldn't possibly be anything other than just obnoxious and weird.
Or he's just going to be really, really boring and has nothing else to do with his time.
That's probably more likely. And I got to tell you, like 2011, he was the FFRF's Humanist of the Year or something. Not humanist, but secular person of the year or something. And he moved there from Hawaii where he pissed them off with the same stuff. Like the mayor of Honolulu is on record like trashing this guy, and calling him, the evil agent against God. This guy is like I said, he's either the coolest guy in the country or he's...
Or fruit bat crackers nuts.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So it's like that lady with the Monster energy drink lady.
Yes.
Just goes from place to
Yeah.
place preaching her bullshit.
But he couldn't drive from Honolulu to Michigan.
He swam.
unfortunately. He swam. Canoe.
A canoe. Is that a racist joke?
Do they have
I
no?
don't,
Is that a thing?
That's
because
no.
you're Indian?
Yeah, come on now. Nobody's on board with
They
that?
don't. They
We
don't
can't
have,
make fun of
They
me?
don't have that in
Honolulu? They don't have canoes in Honolulu?
Well, I'm sure they have canoes, but they're not known for canoes.
Right. Yeah, nice try, buddy. Why don't you
Trying to play the race card over here.
you
Jeez.
fail?
Didn't do it right.
You fail. Now, why don't you give us the next story?
Okay, so this next story, I'm going to preface this by asking a question. Huckabee, why do we not have an awesome name for him?
Because he's been out of the news for so long, I think. But
Yeah, it's just had his little Fox show.
I mean, he's had like little blurbs here and there. We've mentioned him a couple times. We've never given him a cool name.
Huckabee?
we
Well, that's easy.
yeah,
Wow.
that's yeah. You're leaving anyway. You don't get a vote.
Oh, that's dirty. Okay, so
I'll work on it.
Anyway, he's in the news again for being a bigot. Big surprise, woohoo! He's now claiming that he's not homophobic.
Nah.
And no, he's just holding up God's standards because the big dude hasn't given him permission to alter it.
That was the weird thing about that. It's like he said that, we have to oppose gay marriage and all the rest of it because God hasn't given us permission. How is God going to give you permission? He hasn't said anything in 2,000 years.
I guess he's assuming he's like the next prophet or something.
I guess you're right. It's like second coming and like
Muhammad B?
right before.
I don't know.
Keep trying. You're not there yet. You're on the right track.
Stop trying to make it a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
Anyway, he says that the way we've allowed words like tolerance and bigotry, what has happened to us is that we allow ourselves to be called homophobic or bigoted. We're not. We're just people who believe that there is a standard that was not ours. It was God's. It was given to us. And for us to change it, we'd have to get his permission. That's what he said.
Yeah.
You have to get a signed permission slip. Make sure you turn it in time.
I just gotta say, like, I hear this from actual racists all the time. You're calling me a racist just like you liberals do. Or you're calling
I'm
me
not a
bigot.
racist, but...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not bigoted, but...
But I'm just like, you know what? There is such a thing as racism. You embody it, bro. There's such a thing as homophobia. And this dude embodies it. RightWingWatch.com wrote a glorious paragraph about this guy, which I just freaking love them for. They said, quote, Huckabee, who once called homosexuality an aberrant, unnatural, and sinful lifestyle, and demanded that the government quarantine people with HIV/AIDS, said he's offended that anyone thinks he's homophobic.
But he has evidence. I'll give him that. He has evidence. He came forward and said, and he says, he knows gay people. Employees at Fox News and people who have been in his home are proof that he's not a hater.
Here's my new rule. Because, typically these people have said, I've got a black friend.
Are you
I've got
pulling a Bill Maher with your new rules?
Okay, I have some untrademarked thing to say. All these guys, I'm going to start doing that to you, bro. Just so you know, you get ready for it because I hear it all the time when I'm editing, and I edit you out because I'm a good person.
No, you edit me out because you're a dickhole.
The right-wing, racist, homophobic people will always like, I'm not a racist, I have a black friend. I'm not a homophobic, I have a gay friend. Okay, now you have to be able to verify 5 black friends or 5 gay friends before you can say that. That's the untrademarked thing that I'm saying.
And you have to get it notarized. And
Yeah, so should we get him like a form? Is there like...
You have to get it stamped and
in
signed.
triplicate.
It's a form 1011, not racist, I don't know.
B.
Right. B, yeah.
It seems like all those black friends or gay friends also have to be read all the quotes you've made about gay people before they sign. They have to be aware of your statements about them.
That
before
is
they sign.
freaking, yeah, because it's not one of the things where you're like whispering when they're around.
And they can't be the same people. It's not like you can have like, this is my friend. He's gay and black. Double whammy. No, that doesn't
And only one per household.
Okay, so the last statement because all of this is bad enough, but the last statement that Huckabee made puts me through the fucking roof. So he says, quote, we're involved, we're being Christians, when the government says you can't have a nativity scene. Let me stop him for a second. You fucking can. You can put it in your front yard, and I won't even let Jay mess with it, even though he really wants to. Sorry, bro.
It's my right.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It
your
might
right.
be illegal, but it's my right to do illegal things.
And to then suffer the consequences.
So the next thing he says, you can't sing Christmas carols, and you can. You can. You can sing all the Christmas carols you want. You just can't go into my child's school and make them do it.
Praise be to he, you bigot piece of shit.
That's a pretty good one. He goes on to say, we're already involved when we're told that we can't have a marriage ceremony that is limited to one man and one woman. What? What does that even mean? Just because you allow marriage equality doesn't mean you can't have your straight wedding. It means everyone can have the wedding with the person that they love.
God damn it, you have to marry a gay.
Yeah, that's apparently
Unless
what he
you're-
thinks.
That's like exactly what he's saying. It's like they outlawed nativity scenes. They're gonna outlaw straight marriage.
Yeah.
Unless
Which
you're
is-
in, what was it, in Florida? Where the clerks were all like, well, we don't want to perform any, we don't want to do any same-sex marriage, so we're just going to have it so nobody can get
No
married.
marriages, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. Why would you want to be married?
Some people like to make bad decisions.
I'm a fan.
I like bad decisions, but not on that caliber.
But you're okay with a bad decision to go into someone's yard and vandalizing their property.
Totally temporary and not very expensive.
Well, weddings
Marriage
are generally
is-
temporary these days too.
But expensive.
Well, it depends on how
No.
you do it.
Yeah.
Depends on the nativity scene you're vandalizing.
If it's a gold one, you're probably going away for a long time.
And if you get caught.
Well, if it's gold, I'm just going to take it.
And if you get caught.
That's the problem.
So let me go on with this guy. Because he also says, we're already involved when a photographer is told that she's going to have to take photos of a same-sex wedding, or a caterer is told that she'll have to do a same-sex wedding cake.
I understand what he's trying to do here, but he's not doing it well.
Yeah, it's not good. None of these people have to. Sorry, we almost ran out of disk space over here, so I'm furiously trying to delete files.
Is that furiously masturbating?
A little bit.
Very, very
Only I did it in front of all of you, so it's a lot like
As if I
furiously
haven't-
masturbating.
As if I haven't.
So he goes on and says that so what I'm saying. Before you rudely interrupted me, they don't have to take pictures of weddings. They don't have to bake cakes for weddings. They can choose not to. They choose to go into that. They can do some other thing. They can go be CEOs of companies if they want to. They don't have to be bakers or caterers or photographers.
No, but if they're going to photograph a straight wedding, then they kind of can't say no to the other
right.
one.
And you can't say no to an interracial marriage. You have to say yes to everyone, because that's the frickin' society we live in, you asshat. Susan, why don't you tell us about
Moving on about leggings.
let's talk about leggings.
Anyway.
This is a thing.
Yes.
This is a thing. So Veronica Partridge is a mom, wife, blogger, and a Christian who has decided that leggings and yoga pants are something she is never, ever going to wear in public ever again. I will no longer wear thin, form-fitting yoga pants or leggings in public.
Wait. Say it again, only slower.
No.
Thin what now?
No.
Don't make me do it, Daddy.
Show me on the podcast, doll. We're Christian. Wow.
I don't know why that was so fucking hysterical.
Apparently it was great. You want to do it again?
Do I have to start over?
No. So she can't wear what now?
I will no longer wear thin,
Yes, slower.
form-fitting yoga pants or leggings in public.
Yogurt pants? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The only time I feel for myself it is acceptable to wear them is if I'm in the comfort of my own home or if I'm wearing a shirt long enough to cover my rear end. Which I don't know why you wouldn't be wearing a shirt that covers your rear end anyway if you're wearing leggings.
I see that plenty.
Anyway.
Praise Jesus.
She later makes it clear in her blog posts where she wrote this that it's Her reasoning behind her change of heart and change of pants is due to the fact that it's possible that the thin...
Go ahead.
I was really proud of that one. Possible that the thin, form-fitting yoga pants or leggings could make a married or single man look at a woman in the way he should only look at his wife.
What single man has a wife? How is that? How does that work?
No, the way that should be reserved.
Oh, for his future wife?
For his future wife, because, you know...
What about us folks who won't get married?
You can't look at
You
them
can't
all.
look at anything.
Well, I'm going to look at them all.
You're going to make up for all of the guys.
What
Me and my
aren't
girlfriend are going
looking.
to look at them together and be like, God damn.
So she went home and asked, she had a conversation with some people and they said, oh yeah, you know, it makes me think really lustful thoughts. And she went home and asked her husband, and I can only imagine him openly weeping while he confessed to her.
I really hope he did.
I really do too. that it's really hard, but sometimes he finds himself looking at women in yoga pants, and I'm just like,
no.
yeah,
It's really, really hard for him to not look. It's really hard in other ways too, apparently, but
yeah. So what she says about that though is, she realized that if it's quote, difficult for my husband who loves, honors, and respects me to keep his eyes focused ahead, then how much more difficult could it be for a man that may not have that same control?
I'm always focused on head.
Is she that hot?
She's pretty cute, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's a pretty attractive woman. But what does she exactly think is going to happen if a man looks at her or
He might
thinks...
spontaneously jizz in his pants? I don't know.
But what is the negative effect of that? I just don't understand why this is. I mean,
it's this whole idea that's been drilled into people's heads about modesty. That's where all of this sort of spawns from. Is, well, you have to control yourself because you can't control other people. You have to control, all the aspects of yourself, just in case somebody might be thinking lustful thoughts about your yoga pants.
It's worse than that, though, because it's basically saying that this woman is in charge of controlling what other men do.
It's only a few degrees of separation away from burqas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly freaking right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what was going through my head, is that, basically she's on this road to putting herself in a black bag. Because like I said, she's an attractive woman. She has her little photo for her blog. I'm like, she's wearing like a white blouse of some kind. It's to the wrist. And I'm like, you know what? I'm still having lustful thoughts about you.
It's going to happen
Is there
regardless.
cleavage involved? Or?
No.
No, oh.
No, but it's attractive, and I'm just like, yep. I'm going to have lustful thoughts about you, and I'm going to imagine your husband crying in the corner. That's
Furiously masturbating.
He's a cuckold.
Cuckolding. I like it. We have now breached the cuckolding barrier on Atheist Airwaves. Hell yeah. I'm down.
That's so being absolutely serious for a minute, because that occurred to me while I was reading this story about the cuckolding thing, where it used to be shameful for a man or whatever, a woman, to be cuckolded and now it's like one of those things, especially with social media, you run right out and you say, this asshole cheated on me. I think this is one of the things, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that this is a positive development in our society, where it's not a shame to you what someone else does. It's their shame, and they own it.
Absolutely.
And so all the things that we talk about how our society is messed up, that seems like a good thing.
But to the cuckold thing, I was reading this article, and it was about cuckold porn and why men watch it. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting. Apparently, most men that watch cuckold porn actually project themselves into the role of the man watching their significant other getting reamed by another dude, not projecting themselves into the person coming into the relationship.
I could believe that. I don't know for certain, but I could believe that. Because
that's the guy who's having no fun at all.
Why is he having no fun?
Because he's sitting in the corner crying.
Well, not necessarily.
Because I would always
He's sitting in
think
the corner furiously masturbating.
yeah, I would think like if you're gonna watch that kind of porn, it would be like a power thing, right? So you would project yourself into the position of the guy who has the power there, because he's
you're
making
actually,
this other guy.
I think what you're doing there is you're kind of projecting and not exacerbating, but you're. I can't think of the fucking word. Go figure. You're. God damn it! That word is really critical. What you're doing is you're looking at it and going, well, men dominance, blah blah blah. When that's not
like
always
a reversal,
the case.
role
Right.
reversal.
I mean, a lot of times there are a lot of male submissives out there, and they like that. They like the humiliation. They like this, and that's kind of another aspect of that. So no, not all men are going to be in that power role, and I've got to be the one fucking his wife and blah blah blah. A lot of guys get off on the sissy boy thing and all that weird stuff.
Viewer discretion is advised for that whole conversation.
Can I get a little bit of Insmike intro?
Insmike.
Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants.
So Insmike in the chat room says that it's a combination of the whole committing adultery in your heart nonsense and self-imposed victim blaming. And I think that's exactly right. I mean, this woman is taking on the guilt, the imaginary guilt that the imaginary crime of looking at her legs or her butt is creating. And it's so sick. It's so sick.
Who is this woman again?
She's a Christian blogger.
One of those mommy bloggers.
And she says she's only going to wear yoga pants in the house for her husband.
Does she have, I'm just speculating here, does she have like an Instagram with a bunch of cutesy pictures of herself?
She has an Instagram, but I didn't look at it.
Because if she does, then she's kind of a hypocrite because, I mean, she's stupid too because she's drawing this attention to herself. And if she is an attractive, a conventionally attractive woman, then she's potentially drawing people to come, insert her into the spank bank.
Could just stop with cum. But okay. The last thing I want to mention before we move on to the next story is that I honestly don't care what she chooses to wear or not wear. It's not about, she has the choice. She can wear a burqa if she wants to. I think that's really stupid, but she can. And she can choose not to wear these things. What I am objecting to is her
projection.
Yeah. I mean, she's basically accusing me of having no self-control. And believe me, when I'm so even if she was correct and she's not, it's insulting to me to tell me that I or other men can't control ourselves. And it lets men who maybe have impulse control issues, it lets them off the hook. It's not their fault for being assholes. It's the woman's fault for wearing yoga. Like yeah. That's messed up. Mm-hmm. What she's teaching women, what she's teaching men is messed up. Other than that, I don't know why I care what you choose to wear or not wear. So just whatever. So, Curious Joel is a town of about 22,000 people.
Wait, this is a town? That sounded like a name.
Yeah, it does. But that's the name of the town. Okay. Curious Joel. It's a town of about 22,000 people in New York. It's about halfway between New York City and Poughkeepsie. It's mostly populated by Haredi, which are Orthodox Jews. The town is practically run by a Domino's pizza owner type dictator guy. Not only has the town experienced decades of vote rigging and fraud, the school district there has had rampant First Amendment violations throughout. But women in this town are actually forbidden from driving cars.
Wow.
This is in the United States. It's not in that Florida Domino's pizza town. This is in a town of 22,000 people in New York. Surprisingly enough, this story connects to the last one we just talked about because the reason that citizens give for not allowing women to drive is to protect their modesty.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They didn't even go for something super misogynistic like women can't drive?
Or it hurts babies and you can't, the lap belt. I've heard
their
that.
Modesty? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I have no idea what the connection between yoga pants and Buicks is, but apparently it's a big deal. I don't know.
That's good. I like it.
Thank you.
Does Buick even still? Buick, I think Buick went out of fucking business, didn't they?
Here's the thing: is like the woman who was telling the story. She was on some radio show, and I was listening to her talk. And her first car, she left the town, and she's like, "I'm being my own person," and that's awesome. But the first time she drove was in a Buick. I was just like, that's amazing. But that is someone who grew, because she was 23 years old before she was able to even take her driver's test because of this. And she gives this harrowing tale of her first time driving through New York. And I'm just like, yes, you should be in a Buick, because if they give this woman a compact, she's dead in 24 hours.
Wow.
Well, maybe they're protecting their modesty, because when they get out, they won't get like a muff shot, as they're spraying their legs or whatever. Like,
but how
what
does
is this, Britney Spears?
Right, but I mean, you get that from the back of the limo with Britney Spears. So I mean, how does being in the passenger seat help you with that?
I don't know.
I'm just thinking it's like
he just wanted an excuse to say muff shot.
Who can blame him?
He's been waiting all day to tell someone. The really other weird thing is this town is super, super weird. I don't know if they have any roofs, but I'll bet you they do. We should go here and sell them our hula hoops. Really.
I like this idea.
The median age. Jay, guess what the median age of this town is?
48.
Reb, I know you didn't read it.
48.
13.2.
Super young.
What? Yes.
Oh, a whole bunch of kids. I guess?
Yes, they all have
kids.
all the kids. They have all the kids in this town. Like everyone poops out like 200 kids. The median age in this town is 13. Oh, it's amazing. Not surprisingly, as a result of this town has the highest poverty rate in the country.
Yeah, they're like all on.
Well,
food
half of them
stamps.
are unemployed because they're all babies.
Because they're all kids.
They're 2 years old.
Fucking
You're supposed
crotch
to get a
trophies,
job.
people. Stop fucking making more people.
This is like
Stop!
It's the Orthodox Jew version of the Quiverful movement
Yeah.
going on here. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's super weird.
Super duper.
Are you in the chat room making people happy? Stop it, Jay. Susan, close us out with this last story. Please close us out of this nightmare.
So a statue of Celtic sea god Manan
Easy for you to say.
Mananan
Say it again.
Maclear
Try it again.
Mananan
Come on, it's your last show. You need to get it right.
Mananan. I don't fucking know. It's Celtic, man. Maclear is believed to have been stolen by some Christian fundamentalists from a mountaintop in Northern Ireland. Yes,
That's awesome.
stolen. Statue was one of 5 scattered across the Roe Valley as a part of a sculpture trail that was aimed at boosting tourism in 2013. It's a former Limavady.
Let's call her Bidet.
Limavady Mayor Jerry Mullen said the theft was premeditated, was not a random act of vandalism. Local people are extremely angry that this statue has been taken. It really enhanced what is already a beautiful spot from which visitors and residents alike can sit and enjoy the view, and I would appeal to whoever took the statue to give it back. And they know that it was intentional because it was just this statue that was taken of this Celtic sea god. Because it was they found how they like hacked
Attached
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, like they hacked it off of its foundation.
I gotta say, like, this story makes me really happy because I've been in mortal fear of atheists doing something stupid like this, like Jay or someone. And I just, when the Ten Commandments monument got crashed into in Oklahoma City, I was like,
holding my breath. I was like,
please
oh, no.
don't be an atheist. Please don't be an atheist.
No,
And it was like,
no.
gloriously, it was a Christian. But if it ever does happen, if Jay ever does get caught defacing Christian stuff, I'm just going to say, remember the Celtic god.
Jay doesn't get caught.
Everyone gets caught. Everyone gets caught. You may not have gotten caught yet. You will get caught.
Everything's legal until you get caught.
Jay doesn't get caught. He's too smart.
Okay.
And
Anyone
it's
have?
Menanon and Limavady.
Are you
Okay.
serious? You know this, or are you just making it up?
I just know how to pronounce shit when I look at it.
I was going to say, like, I looked at this story and I saw that Susan had taken it. I was like, oh, thank God.
Manan.
I looked at all the names and I was
I
like,
can't
I don't
fucking
know.
pronounce shit. Okay.
And that's why we're glad you're leaving.
Fuck yourself.
All right. So we had a contest last week. Person who
Did mine get entered just for funsies?
Yes, it did.
Awesome.
Everyone's got entered.
Where's the list? Did we see a list of?
I just picked
We should
one that
publish
because
the
I'm like,
fucking list.
I will. I'll put them on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Okay. So in all fairness, I feel like Reb should have won.
This was pretty good.
with his anal jihad. It was Muhammad getting. It was a woman with a strap on, and Muhammad's bent over, and I forget what he said.
It's
Muhammad.
like, I, the Prophet Muhammad. or do I, the Prophet Muhammad, hate women? Of course not. This is the best sex I ever had.
Right. That was amazing. But you don't wear T-shirts, and reasonistproducts.com sells T-shirts. Plus, you work here.
So I win.
You work here too. Although you do wear T-shirts, so you could have won. But
So I win.
Yours was kind of racist. So
Mine was, of course it was. fucking racist.
This is Jay we're talking about.
honestly, Jay's is the only truly Islamophobic entry we got. So thank you for that,
How
Jay.
many entries total were there?
5.
Oh, 5. Oh.
Yeah.
That's fucking low, man.
I
What
know
the fuck?
yeah, people didn't do it.
You all suck.
So
I win by default.
no,
Because I only saw 3 of them. So.
Islamophobics lose. So our contest winner is Daniel Rodriguez, who finished his cartoon, and his depiction of Muhammad was the prophet being filleted by Pope Francis, and while simultaneously recommending the services of a good altar boy.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I
So
like that.
it's not racist, it's not Islamophobic, and it's horrendously offensive to Muslims and Christians. It's wonderful.
I like that. I'm still proud of my dick beard, but whatever.
Okay, well, you do that.
I think when I uploaded my picture, I set the standard that everyone else had to meet.
I agree. I agree. I think, because like Daniel Rodriguez was the first one who did his, rough draft. And I think you shamed him into
Into making it really good.
He got real after your cartoon dropped. So I don't know how reasonistproducts.com feels about being associated
with this.
with Pope Francis giving the prophet fellatio, but
They're associated with it whether they like it or not.
it's too late now. We have an
Yeah.
agreement. So Daniel, email me and tell me what shirt you want, and give me your address, and I'll have it shipped to you ASAP. Thank you for playing. Thank you for everyone who played.
I think what we should do with this is we should see if we can get other atheist bloggers and atheist podcasters and other well-known names to submit their own entries publicly.
I don't think anyone would do that.
Why not?
Because we're so wrong. We're so wrong. If you've learned nothing through this podcast since Ophelia Benson left, and I'm so sorry we've tainted your book with the rest of the nonsense.
You know
that's
what we
happened.
didn't do, and I thought about it but forgot about it
No,
because
we're
you kicked
not.
her off? I wanted to know what her favorite psychedelic was.
We were not going to.
We
We're
were
not
not
asking
gonna
anyone
ask
else. We are retiring that question.
Bullshit.
Okay,
Call her back.
This is this is Susan's last episode with us.
It is my last episode.
What the
I'm
hell?
sad.
What the hell do you have going on that's more important than doing this show?
Dick.
Austin.
Is that
Not
his?
the
Is that his
person?
name?
No, not a person.
Penis. That's what she's got going on.
I have not being in Corpus. That's what I have going on.
Why do all the women on this show flee Corpus Christi?
All the awesome leaves Corpus Christi.
Right.
Seriously.
Oh, thanks.
You're still here. They're just smarter than us, I think. That's all I've
But
got.
Austin is the stupidest place you could have moved. Let me just throw that out there.
She'll be back.
Why do you keep
But
saying?
but she's got.
But you know what's
always
good
be
to
a place
know?
for you.
What's good to know is that my supervisor was like, "So if you decide to come back, there's always a job for you."
Nice.
I was like, "Thanks."
If you decide to come back, maybe we'll let you back on the show. I can't say.
Who else are you gonna have, fucker?
I know. If anyone is listening and they want to be on our show, especially if you're a woman, please, got at atheistairwaves.com. It's honestly been awesome having you on the show. I think that was a great decision Jay and I made almost a year ago.
I know, right?
Thank you. Work harder than anyone else in this show.
Way harder than I do.
Jay's barely paying attention right now.
No, right?
And Susan is the person who basically books all of our guests, so someone else has to do that.
I can continue doing that if you want.
Sweet. I've actually got something to talk to you about that later.
Ah, shit.
You'll like this idea.
It'll be the first paid Atheist Airwaves gig. Is that what I'm hearing?
Maybe. Oh, she does like the idea. Okay. Well,
Of course, you're going to throw money at
Okay.
it.
I like having money thrown at me.
Usually
I think everyone likes getting money thrown at them in some form. I mean,
Will she be on stage?
No.
she's opting out. So anyway, I looked it up, and this is your 43rd episode on Atheist Airwaves.
Wow.
Out of 71 episodes that we have done total.
Wow.
73?
71. This is episode 71.
My 40.
You're missing one.
It's more like
You're missing one.
It's more like 80. But
You're missing at least one.
why?
We skipped a number.
I know. But actually, it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
We've probably done more like 80.
Yeah.
Susan has been on 43 of them. Okay? That's the important part. So
More than half.
I went through, because I keep a file, if you listen to the intro audios, like I keep a file of all of the stuff that I think is funny that I could use in an intro audio thing. And I went through and I just pulled all the ones that have Susan in them.
Is this our outro today?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah!
So it came out to about 1:20 of dialogue, and
Wow.
so I did. And I do have to admit that I'm behind. I'm only up to episode 60, and this is 71, pulling all this stuff. But I did the math, and that means that you contributed about 30 seconds of funny stuff to every hour and a half episode. So well done.
You've now been quantified in every possible way that he can think of.
36 seconds. No, but honestly, the file is about 8.5 minutes long, and you're 1.5 minutes of it. So, I mean, and considering that we've got...
and that's mainly because Christian's quotes just are long and
Right.
And he edits everything I
shut the
say
fuck
out.
And at Jay's, you just can't repeat it. So, our outro music this week is all Susan stuff. And I'm sorry it's not not in better shape. But thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, Susan.
And we will miss
Thank you
you
for having me.
tons. High five, slut.
High five, slut.
High five, slut.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves. We are sponsored by the Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you would like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com. Thank you to the Terps for our outro this weekend. And if you would like to come see us this Sunday, we will be at Taqueria Francisco.
Look it up.
AKA Executive Surf Club.
You get the last word, Susan.
Bye.
That guy is Fruit Crackers Bat Nuts. Sunburnt one.
Look at the way they fluff their feathers.
I hate all of you people so much. I hate all of you. Because interspecies erotica.
Lazarus was dead. Okay?
That whole thing also didn't happen. Porn. First time I'm shot. Butthole. We're so ADD this evening. This is glorious.
Swirl.
Full on King James version, baby.
He's kind of cute though, right?
I'm sorry, Jesus really isn't my type.
Can you bring some of the angels in on this?
The angels were men.
Whenever somebody dies, what's the first thing that people say?
What's that smell?
I don't have morals, so.
He's an atheist. Duh.
Duh. Mutual masturbation. Moving on. Tis the season, bitches. I really thought that you were gonna say the world's largest atheist orange juice.
That's where I went in my head too.
Butthole.
That's great.
So, fun fact, Eric spliced that butthole out. And I know.
Wait, hold on.
Whoa.
I'm
now
not talking
have
about
that.
human centipede in any way, shape, or form.
God damn it. No, I can't find it.
Who the fuck is Eric?
What? Is her boyfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought his name was Austin. Are you gonna stop the recording and start again?
No, well, I am, but should I
Yeah, let's move to
push
the
it?
show.